Hello, everybody, and welcome to Imola. And it is Superlights, and last year's round 1 is today's round 5. I honestly thought I'd seen the back of this championship commentary-wise, but I'm delighted to say that myself, Toby Davis, will once again be joined by Alex Foulkes, who was with me last week for Formula Sprint 2. And yet again, we're here at Imola, Alex, and so a familiar venue for ourselves to commentate on, but a completely different championship in Superlights, and I personally am looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping there'll be quite a few incidents today, because we've had good driving standards for most of the season, but I feel you're just going to be a curse for whatever championship you're in and commentating. It seemed like that with FS2 in the first 4 rounds, where we just had absolute carnage with every round that we had. 51 laps as well, so a lot can happen in that time.
I'm going to say this. I mean, last season was not great driving standards-wise in Superlights. I think I was fairly vocal about that. And you can, of course, catch up with last season if you want to in YouTube on the GPVWC channel. We have a full repository of all of the broadcasts over the years if you want to catch up with any of that. But do that after this round, of course, because we are live and it is great to be joining mid-season. It's nice to catch up with what's been going on, and it has been a fairly dominant performance from Road to Formula Racing so far this season. Alex Lahu leads the championship from Sandeep Singh, and once again, you'd have to say those two are the favourites.
Yeah, I mean, what? They've got 1-1-2 this season, 2-1-2s?
1-1-2.
Like 1-1-2. I just couldn't quite remember, but that was last round. But yeah, Lahu, absolutely dominant, 3 of 4. In the first 4 rounds, so yeah, really,
yes.
He's only got one competitor.
They're continuing their form from last season. Obviously, they had Owen McGorgy last season. This season, they've got Alex Lahu to join Sandeep Singh, and those two are a very strong driver pairing. Of course, there are some other quality drivers out there. Alessandro Maggio, who we know is very, very quick. He's yet to put a really strong race together, but when he does, I know he's a very capable driver. And you've got Jack Mayer moving up from Formula Sprint 1. He was the champion last season, driving a Spark alongside Vincent Gutt. And Joseph Herlock as well, who has also been on the podium this season so far. And a special mention to David Fiduk, who was driving in Super League for Nocturne. He's moved down to Super Lights. It just fits with his schedule better. And he's had a podium already last time out in China, so keep an eye on him. Generally speaking, the standards, as you say, have improved this season, and there's actually probably 3 or 4 teams who are in with a shout. Here's one of them, Spark Racing Team, and Jack Mayer going out on track for qualifying. And as qualifying begins, we will see who comes out on top.
Any bets this time, Toby? Well, I mean, from an exterior standpoint.
Yes, I mean, I think Herlock was looking quick in practice, wasn't he? I would say Maggio, generally speaking, is a very talented and fast driver, and he, in the like practice session hot laps thing that goes on, I mean, he was 2 tenths faster than Herlock, 1, 2, and then Lahu and Singh were 3 and 4. So I'm going to play it safe and say Maggio. I think that's playing it safe probably, but it could be any one of those 4 realistically.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you're reading the Discord channel where Singh said he hadn't started practicing until today, and oddly enough, like, somewhat believe him.
I don't. Sandeep says a lot of stuff. I don't believe half of it. So we'll see. I mean, he does like to play it down quite substantially, and often says he hasn't practiced very much. I personally think if you haven't practiced very much, you can do something about that. You've got 2 weeks in between races, and it's just an hour an evening or something will top you up nicely.
Yep. Anyway, the first laps are being started for qualifying. Let's see how this goes. We got 15 minutes of on-track action. Private qualifying, of course. Nobody else is on track with the drivers, so we'll have a bunch of rather duplicated times. When it comes to spectating this first lap, everyone will go purple respectively in their own sectors, because that's just how that works.
We should say that this is the first time this season we are using the C5 tyre So it's C5, C4, C3 from soft to hard, respectively. And the C5 does provide extra grip, but it's not going to last as long. So whether people can still one-stop, I certainly wouldn't expect to see a soft to medium strategy today. Soft to hard could be possible, but it would be underdriving significantly to do that. It is quite a long pit lane here. The delta is quite high. You're driving absolutely full chat past the pit lane as Lexo finishes his lap 7/10 off current provisional pole sitter Alex Lahou, who we didn't see cross the line but has set a very fast lap. Sandeep Singh was 14 seconds off in the first sector, which either means he's span or he's going for 2 outlaps, which I wouldn't expect to be a strategy considering how soft the C5s are.
Yeah, that does seem a bit weird, but I wouldn't put a spin out of the question. We've seen it before. Turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, going onto the curbs or at least onto the grass will find you facing the wrong way around the racetrack, and certainly expecting to see a bit of that today, especially in lap 1 or so. People just getting pushed wide as Stefan McCready sets a 19.4, 1.8 seconds off of Alex Lahou, who set a faster time in qualifying than he did in practice. So it'll be interesting to see whether those practice times really are representative of the true pace on track at the minute.
Yeah, I mean, they're still 3/10 off or 2/10 off what the fastest practice time was, and the track is improving. So everyone's kind of put in some banker laps so far as McCready pushes on. You will not get 2 laps out of these tyres. Singh pitted, so he must have made a mistake in the first sector. And as I said, they are extremely soft, the C5, so you've got to really look after them. Particularly on the outlap, make sure you don't use too much of the rubber. Thermal-wise, it's not too bad on this track. There's not long, sweeping corners to really degrade the tyres thermally, hence why we are on the softest compound, very similar to what will happen in Montreal, actually, in 2 weeks' time. So it's more about the actual life of the tyre than anything else, as Singh is now on an outlap, and he's off strategy, if you like, in qualifying now. Everyone else is currently on their in-lap, whilst he is doing an outlap, courtesy of pitting that 1 lap earlier and not setting a time.
Yeah, well, it's a strategy he had also in China, where he was just not on a good lap. He'd go into the pit lane. So really, rather on pattern for Singh, and it's exactly what he did in China, like I already said. I saw him just going into the pits multiple times throughout the qualifying session. But here we go. On board into Villeneuve, I'm interested to see just how much quicker these cars are compared to FS2, and that's very tidy from him. 10th down on his teammate Alex Lahou in the first sector alone, and it just amazes me how much time is able to be found in one sector just like that, and especially when that sector looked really good from Singh.
Yeah, it's a weird sector. It's all about the flow, and if you slightly run deep in the first part of those 3 corners, you lose a lot of time. It's always like that when you chain corners together. Singh not using the curbs to the chicane. There are a couple of different ways of doing that. You can jump over both yellow sausage curbs. It's a little more inconsistent, but on paper faster in terms of overall lap time, but you do have to set the car up a bit differently to be able to do that. It's worth a couple of tenths to get it right. Singh choosing to set up the car more for the race, I would expect, based on his line through there, and he does a 17.9, which slots him into 5th, provisionally, of course.
Yeah, and that's about right to what he said in the practice session. So I wouldn't be surprised if you were right on that hunch that he is on the strategy and the race setup for qualifying. So I think that's usually Singh's strategy, because he qualifies not poorly. I don't want to say he qualifies poorly. He qualifies relatively decently, usually in the top 5. But I'm going to ignore exactly what I was just saying. Maggio is a 10th up in the first sector. That's a purple first sector for him, and he spins around. And commentator's curse, rather. Highlighting
my point perfectly in the chicane. It's so inconsistent to take both sausage curbs, but if you do, you can really gain some lap time. In that particular instance, Maggio got it wrong. Lahou's on an absolute fly and does a 17.5. It's actually a poor final sector, not even his personal best, and poor relatively, of course. Yeah, 17.5 for him. That's He's a couple of tenths off what he could be doing in the final sector, considering he did 25.2 in the final sector in practice and a 25.7 just now.
Yeah, Mayer does improve on that lap, but it's not enough to get him up a position. Someone who we haven't talked about, Joseph Herlock, was or is second at the minute, and he's having quite a relatively quiet qualifying session, but he's still at the front, which is good for him, and obviously he's looking for that race win this time out, and I'm interested to know whether it is one of his stronger circuits here at Imola. A lot of drivers actually said it's one of their stronger circuits from the interviews we had in FS2. At least that's my experience, and I'm genuinely interested to see how many people actually like driving the circuit.
I mean, I personally don't, but I would say some of that will be because it was the first round last season and everyone does more practice for the first round. So if you have put more laps together, overall you will eventually, improve your understanding of the track, get a better feel for it. And of course, some of these drivers will be returning for like season to season. Michel Galka, certainly one of those. He's now driving Bull Gallery 82 as opposed to PZZW. PZZW, however you say it. 19.3 for him, though.
Yeah, and further ahead, Vincent Gutt moves into E5. Normally, we'd have him in our ear telling us whatever we're saying wrong, but it's quite surreal. Me and Toby being inside the commentary box, and he's out there driving. That being said, we won't have him next week either.
No, we do. We do have. I think it's Remco Dezay who's doing that for us. We've got Fabian Jungbluth in the commentary box today, which is a different German voice, but nevertheless still very German. Dennis Urban setting a lap time now. He 2.3 seconds off previously. He's now moved himself up to 17th and is only 1.3 off. So a big improvement for him.
Interestingly, on RaceView, which you can obviously go and navigate to yourself. I don't know if we've got that in the description. I know we mentioned it, but I don't think we have. It was showing that Mateusz Piszkan had set a final sector of about 12 seconds, which I'm not an expert, but that's about 15 seconds faster than expected. So interested to know what happened there.
That is interesting. No idea. Unless he missed the... No idea. No. Can't even say how. Sings on a personal best for the first two sectors. He is obviously a couple of tenths down, as you can see in the bottom right of your picture, overall versus Lehu, but a couple of tenths will handily move him into the top 5 if he can maintain it, although he's completely missed the apex at the final Ravazza, and he will box as that lap is over. He just took too much speed into that final part of the lap and unfortunately didn't stick with him. So thankfully every driver does have a delta, live delta, showing how far up or down they are versus their best lap. And coming out of the final corner, if you are down, it's an easy place to box. Sometimes the pit lane's before the final corner and you're kind of committed to the lap. If you then make a mistake in the final corner, you have to do the entire lap again to pit at the end of the in lap. So it's coming towards the end of the session now. Everyone will have one more run at best, as Jack Mayer unfortunately throws it off the track at Per Delta. Probably ran wide onto the serrated curbs, and it kind of sends you into a bit of a toboggan, kind of straight on, and you end up in either the gravel, wall or grass on the exit. He thankfully kept it out of the wall and is able to bring it back to the pit lane, and he'll have enough time for one more flying run. Here's Dominik Horashavin, and he's missed the second part of the chicane. Again, those sausage curbs, so inconsistent to take, and that one particularly on this occasion threw into the right and off track.
Yeah, it's one of the more challenging ones on the entire circuit, that's for sure. I particularly hate the existence of sausage curbs in general, but those in particular are just absolutely terrifying to drive with, because they'll easily send you into the nice little barriers on the right-hand side of that corner, which obviously not very appealing. Jan Sakura pushing it quite to the limit.
Yeah, that was
of
nice.
the curve at turn 1.
Yeah, that was beautiful through there. This should be a good sector time. We'll see as he comes up towards Tosa through the Villeneuve chicane. This looks really good off board. Yeah, he has set a personal best, and it's 0.194. Some of that might be wing level in the first sector as well. We have to pay attention to what wing levels they're on. And Shikora is on lower downforce, which, believe it or not, will make you slower in the first sector, despite the existence of the lengthy straight here at Imola. The first three corners are very reliant on higher downforce. He will get it back in the race. Coming through towards Sector 2, another green sector for him. This has been a tidy lap so far. Chooses to miss the second sausage curb but take the first one, which is one of the options through the chicane. It used to be lovely yellow and black serrated curbs on the inside back in the mid-2000s, and it was a faster chicane, much less of an angle between the two corners. These days it's been slowed and frankly ruined. But they did fix the final sector, so it swings and roundabouts. 18.1 for Sakura, puts him in the top 10.
Yeah, nice little lap from Sakura, and we got to see just about all of it. As he boosts himself from P15 up to P10. He was 1.6 seconds, I believe. No, 1 point something seconds behind the leader. And that's a nice little tidy lap to get him up there. Only 6 tenths between the top 10, and this is someone within the top 10, David Foulkes, who's looking to get further up and continue his streak of podiums out in the Superlights Championship, or Super League Lights, if you want to call it that. And is he coming to a stop? Has he run out of fuel?
Yeah, he had a big mistake in the chicane. I think what he's probably trying to do is cool the tyres and go for one last lap, but unfortunately, Dave, that'll be session over for you. The C5s will not hang on for another lap, and where he is at the moment, he's only 3 tenths off pole. By the way, he set exactly the same, an identical lap time to Stephen Lexo. So David Foulkes, presumably I think it goes to the 10,000th behind the scenes in our factor, but we don't see that info. So it is separated by the next level up, if you like. You just don't see it in game, so it's not like Lexo set the time first and Foulkes is therefore behind. Actually, it does divide it again, so Lexo's slightly faster than Foulkes, but we don't go down to the 10,000s because it's just unnecessary most of the time.
Well, clearly not, because that's the second duplicate time we've had in a week, at least visible throughout the season, as Florian goes up to P14, but I don't know if it was China, where Lahu and Singh were exactly matched in the practice session, the exact same time as Lahu. Tidy in the first 2 sectors and looking to improve on his personal best. Obviously, when he had set the pole time as it is, he had an untidy final sector, and hopefully he's going to improve and probably get to the 17.4 here in this qualifying session as he crosses the line, looking to extend his pole position lead, and it does. 17.497. That's not to say that Joseph Herlock or Jack Mayer won't go ahead of him, as Jack Mayer moves up to P3 now, as Joseph Herlock takes pole position, or provisional pole, at this moment. And here's Vincent Good coming around the final corner to see where he ends up. Currently P5. Let's see where he can end up in the order. Will he get past his teammates? As Maggio moves to pole.
Look at the difference. It's only 1,000th. And then 8,000th back to Lahu. Unbelievable. And Maggio's obviously done some sort of 360 over the line or something. He's missing a front wing, but great qualifying in the end for the Valet Esports team. 1-2 on the grid, but it could so easily have been 3 and 4. Or 4 and 5. Look at the times there. It's so close to the top 4. Less than a 10th in it. Foulkes is, sadly for him, not improving and ended up boxing. Herlock is still out there doing a lap time, but I believe, yeah, no, he missed the checker flag, so it won't count anyway. So Maggio does take pole for Valet Esports with Joseph Herlock alongside him on the grid. Lahu in P3, Singh down in P8. Road to Formula, so Singh with some work to do. Mayer and Gut for Spark 4th and 5th. Stephen Lexo, sorry, in P6 with David Fiduk 7th. We mentioned seeing Dragoon and Sakura rounding out the top 10 for Drag and TTF, respectively. P11 goes to Tom van der Voort, who we've not mentioned for the other Drag. Maxime Beaulieu for Fusion in 12th position. Luke Mitchell substituting and P13 for him. That's a good result for Chaos, alongside Florian Gaia. Dennis Urban 15th, Remco Dzeu 16th, Matusz Pishkan 17th, Thomas Kutka in 18th position for Redvan, Dominic Horoshamin for Alpha Sierra Sim Racing in 19th, and Ragotza 20th. I should say the top 15 have to start on the tyres they qualified on, so expect some medium and hard runners below them. Perseus Miriam in 21st for PCZW, Michal Galka 22nd, David De Zanini for TTF in 23rd, and Stefan McCready, who is substituting for this round, in 24th position.
Yeah. 24 drivers separated by 1.7 seconds. That proves to be pretty interesting when it comes to racing. And I'm just going to pull up the results for qualifying on RaceView so we actually get to talk about them. But yeah. There was just over a second separating 1 through 14. And that might just be some of the closest we've had this season. And it's rather consistent, where we've had very little field spread for the 51 laps that we're going to race today. We didn't have much in China. We had a lot of close battling as we're moving to the warm-up.
We've got a lot of, a lot of people running very similar wing levels, which is not a unique phenomenon by any stretch of the imagination, but there are some outliers. We've got David Fiduk is a good few kilometers an hour faster than everyone in front of him, so keep an eye out on him. He's 323.7 kilometers an hour in a straight line. To put that in perspective, Maggio on pole 319.4, 4.3 kilometers an hour faster. That doesn't sound like much, but over the length of the straight that is the start finish straight here, it's very, very long. You will find that that makes enough of a difference. So expect Fiduk to be quite racy as we go through the early laps, especially if he can keep his tyres in check. Keep an eye on him. We also have Joseph Herlock is 321.2, so he's got more straight line speed than Maggio in pole as well. So he'll be looking to make some progress. Only a thousandth behind his teammate, but running different wing levels. Very interesting.
Yeah, and you can sort of see that illustrated by their sector time. Sector 1, Alexander Maggio 24.87, and Joseph Herlock 24.9 with the difference in wing levels. So that, rather interestingly, only counts for 300ths of a second. But that was almost the difference between pole and not pole. And in fact, I believe it almost was, if not definitely, the difference in pole time, that sector 1.
It almost was, if not definitely.
Yes.
Nice.
I'm not here to have critique about the words I'm saying. This is.
Why not?
To be fair, I did call you boring during the
FS2 broadcast.
Yep. So.
No. I mean, that's all right, mate. We'll just move on. We'll just move on and forget that you said that. So it's no trouble.
Well, we've got 16 rounds to get back at each other. It's fine.
I know, yeah. We'll definitely be trading blows, I reckon. But yeah, so Superlights generally, right? It's a 3/4 of a full distance race that Super League will run, which is based on Formula 1 regulations in terms of the track, in terms of the race length. So basically, we're doing 3/4 of the distance. The cars are 2 or 3 seconds, probably 2 seconds. What was pole actually? It was a 17.4. Yeah, just over 2 seconds slower than what Super League will do on Thursday. So overall, they run a little bit slower. They have slightly less power, slightly less downforce, and slightly less drag as well. So overall, the car is similar, and you can race in Superlights and very easily move to Super League. But it's a completely different kettle of fish to Formula Sprint 1 and 2, which if you watch all 4, broadcasts, you will have tuned in last Tuesday and Thursday. Those are completely different beasts to what we're seeing today and on Thursday. And there is some tyre strategy. There is 3 compounds to use: soft, medium, and hard. And today, as I mentioned earlier, but in case you missed it, C5, C4, and C3, which are the softest 3 compounds available over the course of the season, provided by GPVWC, I guess, is the tyre manufacturer. That is so easily done, by the way, in the background of the track map there. The serrated curbs on the exit of Tamburello there. Also at further through the lap at Piratella, you can do the exact same thing as what just happened to that Spark car. Run wide on serrated curbs and it just toboggans you off. Because they're so reliant on the ground effect, you run the cars so low to the floor, and you can just end up tobogganing off. It just picks all 4 wheels off the ground. And in fact, you can do it at the last corner as well, although I would say that's fairly unlikely, considering the slower exit speed onto it. It's not quite so much of a push corner as an acceleration zone. But keep an eye out on drivers making those mistakes. And the exit of Villeneuve as well has a very similar curb. And in fact, we saw a couple of incidents last week on the exit of that curb. So definitely something that the drivers will need to keep an eye out as the road performers are on their warm-up and following each other, practicing some dirty air, I'd imagine. As I think that was Singh doing exactly what I was... Yeah, demonstrating exactly, Alex.
Yeah. Those serrated curbs rather aren't a problem at the final corner. The entire complex there, rather because you just go onto gravel when you end up on them anyway, so that rather contributes to that instead of going onto the curbs, which I do genuinely despise their existence. But yep, they're there and there's nothing we can do about it, unfortunately, as much as I wish we could get rid of those huge big sausages on the inside of corners like there. Obviously we can't for virtual safety reasons, because we don't want cars crashing and people dying in them, obviously.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
I should say that was
Big
Alex
problem.
who was spearing off track further in the background. But yeah, carry on. Sorry.
No, that's all I had to say, really. It's just, I hate the curbs, and that was my entire tangent. Is that I hate the curbs.
Right, one thing to mention. So the grid here is interesting. So where the default rubber, if you like, it's basically done by the AI, and the AI line, if you can see here, is defaulted to be on the left side of the grid as the drivers drive down it. So that's where the default rubber goes. And then we, as we go through the practice, qualifying, warm-up and race, the rubber is laid down on the right-hand side of the grid by the drivers. So what you find is that both sides of the grid are actually pretty equal in terms of their grip. If anything, the right-hand side is better, particularly in the sprint races, but here as well. And not only that, it's slightly kinked the straight as well. So you end up, even though you're on the outside for turn 1, you end up with a pretty decent getaway. So we have seen that it doesn't really matter if you qualify P1 or P2, it can be pretty equal off the line. So keep an eye out on that as they head down to turn 1, especially because there are some tools available to the drivers. They have got push to pass available. They've got 100 seconds to use over the course of the whole race, which they will do. It's not something they'll do every lap. They'll use it for more overtaking and defending than anything. But it's an interesting tactic and a useful tool, Alex.
Yeah, we've seen heavy push to pass usage and heavy energy usage to defend, notably between Meyer and Lahu in China that we had last round 2 weeks ago. That was an interesting race. If you haven't watched it, make sure to go back and watch that one, because there was a lot of good battles throughout the entirety of that race, not just at the front, but throughout the entire field. Hopefully we'll have that again here at Imola, but it's not particularly an overtaking track by any stretch of the imagination. I've said that, but we've seen a lot of it happening.
Well, they have DRS down that start-finish straight as well. So as long as it's not a DRS train, you can overtake. It's a long enough straight that you can actually overtake. When the Mickey Mouse final chicane was there, it definitely wasn't. In fact, this track was actually quite easy to defend on when that silly chicane was there. But since the bikes came here, they've taken that out, and now it's a far improved track because of it. It still exists. I mean, you can see it right there. It still physically exists, but they never use it, as far as I'm aware. So, which is good, in my opinion. It improves the overall track, considering that Tozer is no longer the. I mean, it hasn't been for 30 years, but it's no longer the hairpin at the end of a super long straight that it used to be. Kind of a shame in one way, but of course safety does take precedence, and they had to put the chicanes in at Tamburello and Villeneuve, of course.
Yeah, and speaking of the incident, of course, we've got quite a few Senna helmets. I'm tempted to call it a race weekend. It's just a race day, and I don't know who within the Superlights grid, if any, have one, but
I think Maggio.
I think potentially.
Fabian, could we see Maggio on board? I think he teased a special Senna helmet. Keep pressing the onboard camera button. Eventually, you'll see one that goes back from the steering wheel, because that should show us. No, he's not got it. I thought he teased one.
I thought someone did.
Let me look.
Yeah, I'm gonna look through.
Yeah, I'll have a little flick through. Certainly, there was some that people were mentioning.
Oh, Maggio did.
Yeah, he did. He said, "I decided to pay tribute to my idol on the 30th anniversary of the 30 years since his passing by restyling my helmet with his colours, and then hasn't used it. He obviously didn't send it to Chris Williamson. That is a shame. He definitely said he would, and then it hasn't happened. So, for whatever reason, which is a shame." But there we go. Nevertheless, it is, of course, the 30th anniversary of Ayrton Senna, De Silva, and Roland Ratzenberger's passing. So I know there's some special helmets being done in Super League as well. So keep an eye out on that for Thursday. And of course, we have the kind of McLaren-esque livery being used by Chaos, who has got Florian Gaia, and we've got Stefan McCready there. No, we haven't. Who's the other? Oh, it's of course it's Luke Mitchell at Chaos, stepping in for David Wasserman. Anyway, warm-up is pretty much complete now, so we are about to embark upon our 51 laps of Imola. Who do you think? Well, who is your favourite?
Honestly, I
don't fence it.
I don't want to advocate for who, but that's how I'm feeling this race. I would love to see him continue the streak that he's got, because it is quite an impressive start to the season. And if he could make that 4th of 5, that's probably one of the better records out of everyone when it comes to starting off Superlights seasons.
He is P3 on the grid, so he has a little bit of work to do. Obviously, the two Valet sports cars ahead of him, and Maggio eventually, I'm sure, will put a race together. Kirsta's Svilo in the YouTube chat, please do let us all know who you think will win. Has said that today seems like a Herlock type of day. I don't know what that looks like. Does it look like a bit of nice weather? Does it look like a bit of clouds? I don't really know.
Well,
Yasser Lartenen.
English, so
Yasser Lartenen says this is Lexington's day. Brave.
It's not impossible. It isn't.
No. Well, I mean, nothing's impossible, but he's starting P6. Wouldn't be my favourite.
There's a lot of drivers that I wouldn't pick, but you could say that they could win.
I mean, it would require something fairly monumental for anyone outside the top 10 to win from there. When we had top 10 starting on soft, or rather their qualifying tyre, I should say, and then everyone behind that was on any tyre choice they liked. That was last season and before. It was possible to do well outside the top 10. Nowadays, it's the top 15 have to start on their qualifying tyre, and it basically means that there's too many cars to overtake if you want to be off strat and start outside the top 15. which is a bit of a shame. I prefer the rule the other way around, and hopefully it gets reversed for next season. To be honest, it makes these races a bit more exciting when you've got someone starting on hards or mediums from outside the top 10. They can really attack later in the race because they have an offset of tyre. But basically, the top 15 now will be on softs, and it'll be a few cars behind them will be starting on mediums or hards. Let's have a little look at the grid again, just to refresh everyone's memory. It is going to be Alessandro Maggio for Valet Esports on pole position, and he's joined on the front row by Joseph Herlock, his teammate Alex Lahou, championship leader for Road to Formula in P3 and Road 2, and Jack Mayer alongside him for Spark. Row 3 goes to Vincent Gutt for Spark as well, and Stephen Lexo for Red Van Racing, with David Videk in 7th, Sandeep Singh in 8th on Row 4. Row 5 goes to Jan Dragoon for Drake, with Jan Sikora alongside him, Tom van der Voort in P11, with Maxime Beaulieu in 12th position. Row 7 is Luke Mitchell and Florian Geyer, the Chaos teammates, and Row 8, Dennis Urban and Remco Dezeu. Row 9 is Mateusz Pishkan, and Thomas Kutka in 18th position. Dominik Hrashovin and Alexander Rogoza round out the top 20. 21st is Perseus Miriam, Davide Zanini in 22nd position. Stefan McCready and Michelle Galka round out the field.
Even faster than FS2 this time, Toby. They got to just the chicane this time instead of to around about here.
I would say in fairness, there was almost 10 less drivers, right? 6 less drivers, which helps.
Does it?
Does it? Question mark.
Does it? I don't know. You tend to ignore those last 6 usually. You just tend to roll them off and say 24 to 26. You read the entire page and then they're forgotten about for the rest of the race, mostly, until they cause accidents, and then they aren't forgotten about, and they get a whole paragraph written about them by Toby Davis.
Keep an eye on the paragraphs. Look at Alex Lahou, right at the front of his grid slot and angles into that rubber section that you can kind of see that splits the field. But it is probably advantage for Joseph Herlock on that rubber section. The final couple of cars coming onto the grid now. So on the right-hand side of your picture is Alessandro Maggio. On the left is Joseph Herlock as the 5 lights come on. And once they are out, we are underway at Imola for round 5 of Superlights. And away we go. Maggio gets a great launch, actually, this time round. And behind him, Herlock is actually getting swamped, actually. Jack Mayer going round the outside. He's going to try and make it 3 wide. Lahou's on the inside of Herlock. Oh, and there's contact. Lahou's round. Look at this chaos. Absolute chaos. And all of the cars behind the leader, Maggio, are involved. This could easily be a red flag. This is every car behind Maggio is involved. It's up to Chris Williamson. It's not up to me. But I would say that probably constitutes close to a red flag. We've got Sandeep Singh's fully involved there. He is missing a front wing. We've got cars everywhere. There is quite a few retirements already. Lahou's out, Mitchell's out, Gutt's out. It's chaos.
Yeah, do you know how I said you're like a bad omen for the series? I'm genuinely starting to believe that at this point, because that was an absolutely shambolic start. All caused by Jack Mayer, obviously getting pushed off, but it's just hard to excuse when you're rejoining and causing that. That's just...
The replay doesn't seem to be working. Let's jump to P1 if we can, because Singh is clearly in P last right now and circulating with no front wing. Maggio does lead us through the end of first lap, and so far I have not seen anything from race director to see whether there will be a red flag and restart. Personally, I would say there's enough cars have survived to carry on. I don't think it needs a restart, but there were so many cars involved. I'm afraid the replays don't seem to be functioning. I mean, how are we getting on with that, Fabian? Is that something we can fix? Here we go. Let's see if we can get it this time round. No, it doesn't seem to be working, unfortunately. This does occasionally happen with our replay function. It's not going back far enough. Oh, here we go. Perfect. So down into turn 1. I would say this is all caused by Mayer jumping over the sausage curves, bouncing into Lahu. He spins around. They're both stationary in the middle of the track, and then it all goes wrong from there for everyone behind. Frankly, there's been some shocking driving then. They're piling in when there's quite clearly cars in front of them stationary on track. There's a couple of drivers a lot further back who could have done a great deal more to avoid that. Let's have a look at what happened to Singh. So Singh's probably the first car who's going to come across this, and it'll just be chaos in the middle of the track. Yeah, he's just getting hit from behind. There's nothing he can do from there. It's further back that I want to watch. Someone like Harashavin, someone in that kind of region would be good to see what happened there. It's not a good look for the championship. Here's Harashavin then. So he's currently running P8, and he comes through. He managed to crawl through then. He managed to survive without damage. Look at that. He jumped onto the grass and dodged everything. Beautiful driving from Harashavin. Oh no, it wasn't Harashavin we were watching there. Sorry. I apologise. It was someone else who did that. That was... Who was that? Let's see. Might have been... Do you know what? Might have been Florian Guy. Remco Dezeo is P6, by the way, currently. And we do like... We're going to carry on with this race. This is going to not be red flagged. There's 19 runners still. It is anyone's race at this point. And Svilo said it could be a Lexo kind of day. I mean, look at this from Dezeo. Look at this. How was he... He didn't hit anything. Apart from some... Oh, he did get tagged. Oh, dear. But nevertheless, I mean, he's running P6 right now. So, yes, let's get back to live action if we can. Because the field's all kind of messed up. Maggio's out! DNF!
What? What has happened? That is not something you see every day. All the
Please tell me.
Out of the race. Harlock's out. Maggio's out.
Please tell me he didn't bin it from the lead by like 4 seconds. Oh, it's going to be a disconnect, isn't it?
Yeah, he's
lagging all over the show.
Yeah.
Oh, Alessandro, an internet fail when you're just leading by miles. Well, now it's a Lexo race, isn't it?
Oh my goodness.
Jesse Lahtinen. Buy a lottery ticket, friend. David Fidek with an absolute rocket ship in a straight line is P2. So keep an eye out on that. But Stephen Lexo must be thinking Christmas has come early.
What is going on with this race? We've got... I mean, we've got 17 drivers out on track at the minute. I don't really count Perseus Miram. And yeah, it's just incredible that in 4 laps we've lost 8 drivers. Obviously to the first one incident, and now Maggio is out. I also want to know what happened to Joseph Herlock, who's also out. So it's awful for Road to Formula. It's awful for Valet Esports, and the 2 championship competitors are just not in the race anymore. And all of a sudden, everything that we prepare for in this race is just gone like that, and we've got 51 laps ahead of us still.
There's a few people calling a red flag. It's not red flag worthy. We've only lost 5 or 6 cars from the start. That's not that bad. A lot of people had damage, of course, but it is what it is. I mean, it requires a little bit more than that, I would say. Not much more, but a little bit more than that to have a complete restart. And I've only ever seen it once at Australia in the Superlights, a red flag causing a complete restart, and that was everyone in the field bar the pole sitter, which happened to be my driver, Luke Maguire, was involved, and that's a bit different. There were quite a few cars that managed to get through, and those are the ones benefiting. It's just drive sensibly and get through the nonsense, and you get good results. Look at Lexo then, from P6 on the grid, now leading. Dezeo in P6 from 20-something. Where was Dezeo? 18th on the grid? Can we see position? Yeah, we go. I didn't even finish my sentence. Thank you, Fabian. So, yeah, look at that. So, Dezeo, so he's 16th on the grid. He was. Pishkan, 17th on the grid. Now P3. Unbelievable. Yeah, McCready from last is up to 9th. Oh, this is going to be a fun, long race for those drivers. And Jack Mayer, by the way, is going to be hit with a fairly hefty penalty, I would imagine, for that.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's going to be about 18 cases of causing a collision. If you want to be pedantic about it, and that's just really unfortunate, especially for Lahu, who was just a passenger in that whole thing, getting hit by Mayer, getting spun round, and then just getting collected by his teammate Sandeep Singh. And it does really frustrate me that we see so many cars out on the first lap, and that happens just like that. But yeah, that has to be one of the weirdest race starts I've ever witnessed. And like I said, Toby, I do think that you cause bad driving standards in
I cause bad driving.
Yes, you are the root cause.
Well, I mean, it wasn't that bad of a mistake. Unfortunately, it just so happened that he bounced over those sausage curbs, and we were talking about how awful they are. Bounced over them and smashed into Lahu, who equally took out Herlock, who equally then was sideways across the track. Now, the problem there was not the problem. That wasn't that was the cause, but it wasn't the reason that we're missing so many drivers and so many drivers had to pit. That is because they all piled in at full pelt, or at least not with enough awareness to avoid it. I mean, it's difficult. I get it. First lap of the race and suddenly there's car stationary, but this is where we need engineers. I mean, the point with GPVWC, you're allowed one engineer per team to be live in the race and calling it. As Florian Gaia moves himself beyond Mateusz Pishkan and into a provisional podium place for Chaos Racing, who of course have lost Luke Mitchell in that first lap melee. He was missing a wheel, unfortunately unable to continue in the missing a wheel. It is possible to pit and replace it in R Factor 2, but it takes like a minute. And by a minute, I mean literally 60 seconds, not just a period of time that's quite long.
Yeah. I do think that is one of the race starts of all time, really, that we just witnessed, and that's going to be a clip that's going to get sent around the entirety of the sim racing space, I'd imagine.
Yeah, that's going to definitely crop up a few times in the future as a GIF.
Yeah, that is definitely one of the new Discord GIFs that's going to occur, and it genuinely does bring up a question of whether we should have more leniency in that restart rule, because that was it was more than half the field, if not most of it.
Yeah, but we don't. So that
8 drivers.
We don't. Really, it's at the discretion of the race director anyway, because there's no rule that says if X amount of cars get involved in an incident, it's a restart. It's completely at the discretion of the race director, and it's only really on mass disconnections as Van der Voort now moves ahead of Pishkan, who is not there. I mean, I like Pishkan, absolutely love him, but he's not there on merit, is he? And there is going to be some drivers capitalising on points today that they would only dream of. He's one of them. Pishkan is in that gaggle, but they're already 10 seconds off Lexo and Fiduk. Oh, by the way, Fiduk is in an absolute rocket ship, and I think he, if he plays his cards right, is probably the strongest driver in that front gaggle to win. So everyone from P11 down was involved. That's what I mean. That's half the grid. It's not like a complete mission-ending pile-up. It looked worse than it probably was. A lot of drivers actually managed to get through. I don't know. I'm not the race director. I think it's good that we're carrying on personally, because otherwise it just promotes, send it into turn 1, and if it doesn't work, you get a restart. That's what I think, Alex.
Yeah, that's arguable. I guess it depends rather on the circumstance, but we're currently watching Kurt Sharvin going for a move on the inside of Pishkan, and it's going to be a relatively simple move with that DRS down the inside into turn 1, and yeah, that's one of the moves of all time, and I suspect we're going to be seeing a lot of that in this race. Relatively boring places to overtake throughout the entirety of the track. Yeah, it's rather typical of Imola to produce boring racing, and at the point of Imola, you get a few issues with overtaking because you've got hairpin and a
yes.
DRS zone.
Yes, we do. Sorry, we don't see that nose cam very often. It's a great camera angle, of course. It's nice to be able to have the reverse or look rearward camera as well. But that nose cam is really a nice camera angle. Look at that. We're getting the full repertoire here, Fabian. Thank you very much. This is also a nice one. The one after it, I think, faces the driver's helmet on the side of the engine cover, I believe.
Yeah, but you can also see into the engine from this view.
Well, go to the
bottom left of your screen.
Go to the next one as he overtakes. Look at this, beautiful. Horashoven with the fastest lap of the race, and he is probably the most improved driver last season in Superlights. Actually, I would say Dominic Horashoven, which is a fun surname to say. But think of the yeah, I mean, obviously Russian origin. Think of the Arsenal football player, Arshavin. That gave me the pronunciation for Arshavin. But there we are. Florian Gaia has been overtaken by Van der Voort. And Foulkes is sitting just outside DRS as... Ooh, that's a dangerous game to be playing there. My Ukrainian
over the curbs. We've seen incidents happen like that. I haven't really seen anything like that in turn 1.
Still boggled about that, aren't you?
I'm still... It completely destroyed my brain watching that. I just couldn't comprehend what was happening, to be totally honest with you. Here we go. Kurashavin looking at the back of Gaia. I do love this view because it sees exactly everything that's going on, a bit better than the T-cam view that you get usually in F1, because you get to see the car right through the rear wing. No DRS before in Gaia. It's going to be Kurashavin around the outside, and quite easily with the DRS is going to get past Florian Gaia and up into P4, chasing down for the podium.
There's some interesting fighting going on in the YouTube chat. Listen, I'm of the opinion, right? If we restarted for every lap 1 pile-up, we would never get a race completed. There's the reason for that, right, is twofold. Number one, it happens a lot. We have a lot of lap 1 pile-ups, especially in sim racing, because there's no physical consequences to, I mean, unless you're using a direct drive at 100% power, and you that can break your wrist. But physically, there's no consequences in sim racing versus in reality. So you do end up with slightly less brain cells being employed on the first lap than you do get in real life. Secondly, if you allow for a restart every time there's a pile-up, regardless of the amount of drivers involved, all that happens is that people are even more brave on the first lap, and they do even more stupid things, knowing full well that if it goes completely wrong, then you end up with a restart. GPVWC has been very, very good over the years, and Chris Williamson as well, as to only employing a red flag restart when it's like literally the whole grid, or it's obviously a grey area and there's no right or wrong. But in my opinion, like it's a precedent thing, and obviously, you know, it's not good that a load of cars were involved. But it won't happen at the next round, will it? Because people know not to be quite so brave. Whereas if we have a restart here, there's no consequences. Absolutely none. In fact, there will be, but there will be consequences for those involved and those who caused it. There will be. The stewards in the disciplinary committee will get the rule back out, and there'll be stern penalties, I'd imagine. But you can't restart for every pile-up. All that happens is that if you do, it happens, and like Mounier's point is, it happens more than it happens only once a season. If you restart, it's going to happen 5 or 6 times a season. We'd never finish a broadcast. So everyone's saying it should be a red flag. Well, I don't know. I think it's definitely a lot closer to a red flag than other first lap pileups, but it's not. It isn't. It's not a red flag. We're still racing. just watch the broadcast and watch me and Alex fight over the rest of the broadcast.
That's all that this is. It's just me and you fighting over whatever we want to. In that and whole sort of, I guess, video essay covered by GPVWC, sponsored by IMP Racewear. Then we get a video essay. Kurshavin onto the podium, past Ton van der Voort.
Yes, he is absolutely flying, and actually looks like the most likely driver for a podium here. Just to finish that off, finally, you know, someone said you don't really have a 14-car pileup every race, do you? Yeah, there's a reason for that, because we don't restart after a 14-car pileup. If you did, then you would. That's how it works. It's a shame for those involved, but not everyone's out. There's only 6 DNFs. One of those was a disconnect, so there's only really 5 DNFs from that first lap pileup. Everyone else is still in the race. There's 18 cars left, 15 places for points up for grabs. Jack Mayer pitted. He's in 12th. He's easily could get in the top 10 here based on his pace. He's only 10 seconds off McCready, who qualified last. So, yeah.
I'm just not going to chip in. I feel like it's a point of contention that will be discussed after the race, and I'm sure during the race, and while it's still continuing, it has just seemed to have killed the flow of the race as it is right now, as most of the fights we were excited for going into this have just gone in an instant.
That's okay. We're going to see some different drivers on the podium. I honestly, you know, it's not like Owen McGorgy. He could easily get top 10 because he took out the 20 cars behind him. Oh, good. I don't know. I get why people are calling for it, but it happens so often in sim race. Oh, there's been a crash, red flag. Just I don't know, shut up and get on with it.
Yeah, I'm not going to name any names for leagues, but I do see some leagues with stupid, like frankly ridiculous red flag rules where it's if crash on race 1, red flag, and yeah, that does result in more red flags for that league, and I've watched some of them, and you get 9 red flags a race, which is just ridiculous.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, we just where's the line, and the line has been very carefully drawn over the years, and we only have red flag restarts when it's, you know, it's completely necessary. I don't think it was necessary in this case, so I think the right decision has been made. Let's move on, particularly in the YouTube chat, because I'm now bored of reading out comments about it. Let's move on. Do we think Lexo's going to hold the lead? Well, Fidek's now within DRS. That'd be nice to catch up on in a minute. Obviously, we're looking at the 5th, 6th, and 7th battle here. Florian Gaia ahead of Pishkan and Dezeo. Davide Zanini then is 12 seconds back with Urban and McCready. Those three a long way back on the grid, but they were so far back that and Galka, that they were able to dodge that shenanigans, and they are sitting pretty in the points, which they probably wouldn't have thought that they were going to get. So, I mean, obviously, there's still a long way to go, and you've got Sandeep Singh is a long way back. He obviously had a lot to repair. He must have had a really long pit stop. He's monumentally far back, unless he had another error of some kind that we haven't been paying attention to. He's Fidek now for True North. I like Dave Fidek. He was part of the Nocturne team at Super League, but unfortunately, due to personal circumstances, just scheduling wise, couldn't carry on the season, and is now in Superlights driving for True North. Here's Tom van der Voort for Drag, and he boxes. It says he's on mediums now, on the in-game, if you like. Still the yellow striped tyres. It doesn't necessarily mean that. He might have changed tyre and just hasn't refreshed. Sometimes that happens in R-Factor 2. We'll keep an eye out to see what tyres he's actually on. In fact, can we see what tyres everyone is on, please, on our little timing thingamajig? That would be nice. That's the one. So, Zanini now boxing as well. He was in the top 10. He's going to drop behind Beaulieu, I believe. And Jack Mayer still on soft, so he must have gone back to the soft tyre after his pit stop to repair the damage that he caused.
To himself and to others.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of the damage is just going to be mentally to some of the drivers who are obviously there's emotion, and that's sim racing, and it's a good thing there's an emotion in sim racing. There's also regulation, which tends to take precedent over emotion, but we have seen it where it hasn't before for some reason. But yeah, ignoring that, we've got a race going on, and David Foulkes has taken the lead from Stephen Lexon. I imagine both of those drivers would not have been expecting to be in the positions that they are at the front, as Stephen Lexon, of course, is going to fight David Foulkes for that lead, but I imagine we're going to end up with a strategy fight more at the front here, and good on Stephen Lexon, who someone, I know Yase Larson said it rather as a joke, but he's having a very good race. Obviously helped, but a very good race nonetheless to stay in the lead for as long as he did after Maggio disconnected.
Yes, I'm really sad for Maggio because he was obviously ahead of the nonsense, and then his internet's given up on him, which is a shame for him anyway. It's a tricky race to commentate on now, really, because what we're now in Lexo pits, so he is going to get a little bit of an undercut now on David Foulkes. 18 laps he managed to stretch those C5s to. That's pretty impressive, actually. I didn't think they'd go quite that long, which means if they can do 18 laps on that tyre, it's probably a 2-stop on medium from here. I doubt they can get the medium. Well, they might, they might get the medium to the end from there. That would be really going well to do that. Here's DeZeo, look on the outside of Florian Gaia, who fights back, breaks late into Tamburello and holds on to that position for another lap. The Dutch driver falling back behind the German as they go towards Villeneuve. This little gaggle of cars from Pishkan downwards. Actually, Harashovin, by the way, has completely gapped Pishkan, and surely will be eyeing up a podium from there, which would be a fantastic result for him.
Absolutely. We've had that just mostly throughout the field, where drivers who wouldn't be in these positions are having a great race, as Stefan McCready DNFs from the race for Alpha Sierra, leaving only his teammate Hirschhaven at the front. And I'm interested to see what's happened to our next non-finisher this time out, as rather we decrease once more to 17 drivers remaining in the race, and hopefully this is a replay of what happened to Stefan. I'm wondering if it's a disconnect or something happened to him.
I'm going to say
turn
tobogganing on the exit of... Oh no,
Disconnect.
complete disconnect, that's a shame. Why? I don't know. It's the worst way to go out. I said it in the FS2 broadcast the other day. Absolutely the worst way to retire from a race, and it doesn't matter who it is. Honestly, I would never wish that on anyone.
Yeah, and I'm just laughing at what Ed Hunter has said in the Discord, not in the Discord, in the YouTube chat of Googling mutually assured destruction, and that start pops up. But moving on, again.
I mean, people are still going. Like, honestly, guys, when is a pilot big enough to throw a red flag? Not today, so let's move on. It's not hard. God's sake, like.
It is rather unfortunate, though, because we have ended up with relatively boring on-track action.
Well, I don't agree.
Oh, we've got nothing going on. We're watching Remco de Joux on the back of Florian Gaia, who's just going to pass him on the DRS straight, and that's going to be the race.
How's that nothing going? All right, Alex, I love you, dearly, but we've just witnessed a couple of overtakes in the last couple of laps. They've been pretty decent. I mean, we could be worse. We could be watching a 2004 F1 race.
You seem biased, honestly.
I seem biased.
Yep, biased. Biased commentator.
To whom? Remco de Joux is going to make a move. Look at this. Overtaking
Wow, DRS along the main straight. He's done it again. Great racing going on here at Imola.
Why are we reading chat? Because that's our job, is to engage with the audience. That's literally our job.
Yep.
That's what a commentator does. Hopefully, in more than one way than more than one way than not. That's not a saying, is it?
But no, it really isn't.
You can lead a fish to water, but you can't make him drink.
I wouldn't want to make a fish drink.
Do fish drink?
Yes, I think. This is not a this is not a conversation to be having on a on a broadcast.
It's lead a horse to water, that's why.
Yeah, it's lead a horse, not a fish.
Oh. No, yeah, Galka seems to be stationary for a very long time here. What's going on?
Great question.
What's he repairing? He didn't seem to have any
repairing?
visible wing damage or anything like that. Maybe he had some suspension damage he wanted to get out of the way, because that takes about 10 seconds usually. Maybe he crashed. I don't know. Didn't see it.
And that was another DRS overtake, I would imagine, for Uncle de Gio, passing Matusz Piszkan for third position. And hopefully, I do genuinely hope that the overtakes that we're going to have aren't just along the main straight, as this is a replay of whatever's happened to Alexander Rogozza.
Sausage curb. Yeah, he's... Oh no, the wheel's gone. Oh dear.
Yeah. Ooh.
And another one bites the dust. So we're going to be down to 16. Yeah, 16 runners. And honestly... Oh, fired at pits. Now... Oh no, he doesn't. That says int, not pit. I can't read. Apologies. Beaulieu is in the top 10. Mayer's boxing. He goes to hards. Hards to the end from here definitely will do that. I don't think mediums will from where Lexo pitted. I would say he's doing another stop. Horoshavin is pitting now, so from P2. That will be. He'll now come out around. In fact, he's going to come out around Tom van der Voort here as he exits the pit lane. This will be quite close. In fact, van der Voort is going to get him. Just. So through goes Tom van der Voort in the drag. And he's on mediums. And I didn't see what Horashavin's on. Is he on hards? Yes.
Looks like it.
So, yeah, so that... no.
Oh. That's new. Onto the red rubber.
Let's see if that's true, because as I say, that doesn't always correlate with the actual. Like sometimes it takes a little bit to update. He currently is going through Tosa. It looks like he might be back on the softs, which is an odd strat because he took the softs very, very long in the first stint. Fidek yet to box. He's definitely one-stopping. Yeah, he's on hards. Look, it's now switched to hards, so there we go. Horashavin is on hard tyres and he's going to the end on those. Lexo's going to come out miles in the lead, by the way, on the mediums, but he will have to pit again. And he's kind of stuck behind Van der Voort here. But has caught him. We saw Van der Voort go down the start-finish straight, didn't we? And Lexo was behind him by a bit and now is overtaking him. So going very, very nicely indeed is Lexo. I do apologise. That's Pishkan.
You need to learn how to read.
I know. I'm so sorry. In fairness, I haven't been watching this league with the intensity that I would. If I knew I was commentating on it, so I apologise. I got the two drivers mixed up, livery-wise there. Yes, Lexo overtaking Pishkan, moving back to P3. He's now got Deseo in front of him, and Fidek is going to end up 4 or 5 seconds behind Stephen Lexo based on their lap times. I would say. So yes, keep an eye out on that little battle. Lexo's doing 22s, low 22s. Whilst leading Foulkes is doing 23.5s at the moment, 23.4s. So it's going to be about 5 or 6 seconds when Foulkes does eventually stop. But I would say they will then both have one pit stop left to make. So Lexo's got to make up a good 20 seconds overall in the next... How many laps there that is left? 27 laps. So as Deseo pits from P2, and he started on the mediums, he's going to go to the hards to the end from here. And yeah, it's that's the C3, and that's a decent tyre overall. It's usually the medium tyre for the other rounds so far. But what do we think, Alex? I mean, we do have some intrigue for the race win now. Foulkes and Lexo on different strategies entirely.
Honestly, if Lexo wins, I do genuinely believe that Aston Martin needs to go and buy multiple lottery tickets. Just go into a raffle, do whatever. But it would be rather poetic for Lexo to win after being slated rather as a joke for the race win. It would be great to see him cross the line winning for Redfern, who obviously moved up from Formula Sprint 2. Did they? They did. I'm not going crazy.
No, you're not. They did.
And yeah, it would be great for them in their first season of Superlights to get the win. As David Foulkes comes into the pit lane, and it's going to be not even close, really. On the exit, there's Stephen Lexo, and he goes straight past David Foulkes in that ultra-long pit lane. But now they're on the same tyre, and now it's up to David Foulkes to make up that 6-second deficit, which he has gained by going into the pit lane.
It's even more than I thought it was. It's more like, look, 7.5. He's actually ended up gaining over David. So, and David, of course, on the on paper slower tyre, although he does have like quite a few laps of offset now. Lexo's tyres are going to be a little bit more second-hand. They're 7 laps into their stint, and of course we know Lexo definitely has to pit again. But he only has to make up another 17 seconds overall, and when he boxes for a fresh set of tyres, he will come back at Foulkes quite quickly. So it's not all over by any stretch of the imagination, although it looks like Foulkes is definitely in prime position from there. The one-stop strategy is very powerful at Imola. The pit lane being so long and offering such a high or such a large delta. When you box, you do lose a lot of time. His flying Gaia is still holding off Deseo, although Gaia is on 4-lap old tyres and Deseo has only just put that set of mediums on. But they are... is Gaia on hards? I can't actually tell from race view. Unfortunately, they're the same colour.
I don't trust race view. He is.
Gaia's on hards, yeah. So, so at the moment... and certainly for the next probably 6 or 7 laps, Deseo's going to be on a much faster tyre than Florian. And as they cross the line now, Gaia sets a 22.6 and Deseo actually did a 22.9. So actually was 3/10 slower that lap, but nevertheless, I would expect Deseo on that faster tyre to be able to get through. Maxime Beaulieu is pitting, and he must be doing... What is he doing? Yeah, he's boxed. Is he missing a front wing?
No.
No? Okay.
Are you imagining things, Toby?
Sorry.
To try and make this more interesting.
No, not at all. I wish I was. I couldn't see it. Don't know why. Couldn't see it for looking. Sandeep Singh then moves ahead of him into P13. Very quietly, Singh has been very impressive lap time-wise and has steadily moved himself up the order. He is going to score points today, despite the fact that we have... I mean, despite the fact that he had a very broken car on lap 1, was absolutely dead last as he got into the pit lane. He was completely smashed about. and had significant repairs, which is why he was so far back. But he stuck to it and stuck in the race, where other drivers just pressed escape. He stuck with it, and he's going to score some points for Road to Formula as a result. But we are going to have a new race winner from the season, and it's a straight fight really between Fidek and Lexo, I would say.
I wouldn't count out Tom Vandervoort at this point. I wouldn't count out anyone, really, with just under half the race remaining. Genuinely, it's difficult to predict who's going to come out on top as Meyer moves up to P10 as a result of Thomas Kutka pitting and coming in to swap out those old tyres, which still look very old from the onboard camera.
Yeah, they will refresh in a minute, but he's definitely moved to the hards, I would say, from there. There's no point going back to the mediums again. He is doing his first pit stop. Well, he's still actually doing his second because he had to repair the lap 1 damage, but effectively that's his first pit stop, strategy-wise.
Yeah, and Singh actually has unlapped himself, I believe, which is rather good for him, and he's been lapping very, very impressively, really. The 25 lap old hards, setting 22.6, which is relatively one of the most consistent drives of the entire field, really. 122, and there's only a 123 and a 123 separating those two times in his entire sheet. So a really good stint from Sandeep Singh on hard tyres to bring himself back up, unlap himself, and put him into P11. And just about anyone that's finishing this race will be receiving some points.
Well, everyone probably. I expect to see one more DNF before the end of the race. There's plenty of danger out there, including other drivers.
Yep.
And I would also say Jack Mayer is going to have something substantial penalty-wise, unfortunately for him, that will probably take him a long way down once that's added. Although anyone a lap down will survive. But yeah, in the box then we see Sandeep Singh, we're just talking about him, and he is coming off those medium tyres and presumably going to hards. So he was actually on mediums for that stint, I believe. Actually he could go medium again. So he could actually go, because he obviously ran the softs in the first lap, he could actually go medium to the end, which is not a bad strategy call from where he was.
Yep, and that's Kroshavan. Meow. Next to
sorry.
Sandeep Singh.
Petal, my cat has just wandered into the room, and obviously it's time to irritate me, so...
Yep,
lovely jubbly.
That was one of our discussions for the broadcast, is cats always seem to enter the broadcast when we start, honestly. It's never before, never after, just during, because they're annoying little things. And
oh yeah, none of them know, but they're all a nightmare. They all think they're amazing and the world revolves around them, but we love them anyway.
Correct, and this is Meyer on the back of Dennis Urban, and I imagine this battle will be over just as quickly as it started, thanks to that nice long DRS straight that sees the railing open of the car behind, and they rather easily get past.
I have a question for you, Alex, that I know the answer already. Do you like DRS?
Yes.
Do you like DRS or do you dislike DRS?
No, not one bit.
You think it's bad?
When it's this strong and on straights that long, I do. Rather genuinely dislike DRS.
Yeah. I'm on the fence about DRS. I don't like being on the fence often, but I would say overall, I think we just avoid things like 2010 Abu Dhabi, which is where Petrov held up Alonso, who genuinely could have won the title that day and just couldn't overtake him despite being over half a second faster, as you indeed pointed out. Jack Mayer flies past Dennis Urban. They're on completely different strategies, to be honest with you. Well, they're completely different I mean, no offence to Der Serban, but they started at pretty much opposite ends of the grid. So Jack Mayer recovering after that first lap nonsense.
Yeah, and Mayer, I imagine, will be getting. I honestly can't speak for how hefty the penalty that Mayer is inevitably going to receive will be. According to the letter of the law, the maximum you could possibly get is about 30 seconds, which would put him currently in P11.
I think you can get,
someone's going off back there. That was Dennis Urban.
I think he's going to survive. Yeah, I think he'll get 30 seconds at most, because it's not dangerous driving what he did. That's reserved for particularly brain dead things. We have seen it employed a couple of times over the last couple of seasons, and honestly, the times that it's been employed, it's been deserved. Even to some very successful and quality drivers who wouldn't be in the category of brain dead. Usually, they've had a 60-second penalty applied, deservedly. Sometimes I wonder if the penalty should be stronger for very, very brain dead things. Even if the I can't do this without talking about specific incidents, but I have to. But you know what I'm talking about, Alex.
I know exactly what you mean, Toby.
Just watch FS2 Suzuka if you've got 5 minutes. Anyway, Stephen Lexo and David Fidek, the gap is kind of stayed the same. Fidek is slightly faster at the moment, he's 6 tenths faster, but those mediums are now being run out of life. The hards will be better at this point in the stints, but Lexo, when he comes off those tyres, which he kind of needs to do in the next lap or two if he wants to go mediums to the end, he's probably going to go soft to the end from here, I would say. There's no way he can take the mediums to the end, unfortunately. He's got another 19 laps to do on them, so he's definitely going to box again. But the question is, does he box in 5 or 6 laps time and go to another set of mediums? Or does he go 10 laps more and then go soft to the end? That's the question for you, Alex.
I would imagine so. That being said, we have seen medium tyres being pushed for that long and being used that long, notably Sandeep Singh, who was out for 26 laps on his set of the medium compound tyres, of course the C4 tyres this time around, and something that happened just recently. Jan Sikora sets the fastest lap at 20.932. Seems to have been a one-off for him, 2 seconds slower, or a second slower for him.
Sandeep Singh is Sandeep Singh is very gentle on his tyres though, and he took them 26 laps. If Lexo was to go to the end, he would have to do a 34 lap stint on the mediums. 8 laps is so many laps. I mean, it's 8. That's how many laps it is. That's a lot on one set to extend that stint.
The same could be said for David Fidek, who's rather locked himself in to. I mean, he could. It's absolutely possible for David Fidek to hold on that one, but it would require him to nurse his tyres a lot, and I would imagine that's not what he's doing to try and catch up.
Well, no, Fidek's definitely going to the end, because he's done 24 laps on the softs in the opening stint. He's only got to do 27 laps on the hards, so he's defo one stopping.
Is he on the hards or is he on the mediums?
It's on the hards.
This is why I dislike race view, because we've got the same colours.
Yeah, I know, we do have the same colours.
Mediums.
Yeah, it's because the C3 is considered by RaceView to be a medium, and the C4 is considered by RaceView to be a medium, which is wonderful.
Yeah, it's very fun.
Here comes Sikora, and through he goes before they even get to Tamburello. It is a bit too strong, isn't it, that DRS? I mean, they do have push to pass as well. There could be some usage of that going on, but it is just a bit too strong in the SLL car. I mean, Galka is, 13 laps into his stint, and Sikora on the softs, by the way, 6 laps into his stint. So there will have been a massive difference in their exit speeds out the last corner of Bravazza. nevertheless. Why is he on softs? Jan Sikora?
Great question. Talking of wheels, why have they got Pokeballs on the side of them?
I know. Yeah, he's definitely on softs, Jan Sikora. So that doesn't make a great deal of strategic sense to my
He's just going
engineering
quickly
brain.
for the fastest lap, it seems.
Yeah, but someone's going to box for softs at the end and do that. I've
Or maybe
got
he's
my
going
eye
to
on-
box for softs again.
Yeah, but why? Why wouldn't you just go hard?
Because that would make sense, Toby.
The problem is it's a 25-second pit lane, right? So Sikora, who started on the softs and took them to 25, is... No, wait, he started on the mediums, but still took them to 25. He could easily have done one stop and gone to hards for the end of the race. I don't get it.
I don't either, but it wasn't our call to make, and you know what? It's happened, and we're here simply to talk about it and not to make the decisions for Jan Sikora, who sets the fastest lap once again, a 19.946, second faster than the one he set previously. And this is Dennis Urban on the back of Davide Zanini. He's going to get that nice little DRS boost down the main straight, but not close enough to make full advantage of it and get past Davide Zanini. 4P9 seems to have quite a quick setup bolted onto that car.
It does. I would like to see what tyres... I missed it, but what tyres is Van der Voort on? Because from my recollection, he started on softs, which I feel like means he's going to have to... and he pitted on lap 15. He's on medium. Okay, so he is going to have to box again. There's me looking at... in fact, there we go.
Oh, here we go. Perfect timing. Comes into the pit lane. Just to
Yeah, but 15 laps left, he's going back to soft, so he's definitely going to give that a go. Lexo, I don't see getting another 15 laps out of those tyres, so probably now is the time to box and go to softs and try and reel in Fido, but he's going to have to make 20 seconds up over 15 laps. Doable. Definitely doable, but he needs to have a pace advantage, and I'm not sure he does. Gonna be tricky.
Yeah, there's plenty of time left in this race. 15 laps to be precise until the checkered flag. And Dennis Urban, obviously, struggling to get past Davide Zanini in that TTF racing car. Well, Dennis Urban isn't in the TTF, but Davide Zanini is, and Davide Zanini is actually out onto the gravel, and that makes the pass relatively simple for Dennis Urban, as Zanini, quite an interesting mistake that we've just witnessed there.
Yeah.
Be interested to know what's just happened.
Well, he made a mistake. That's what just happened.
Excellent analysis, Toby.
I'll
amazing.
I'll tell you with more detail if you like. So Davide has basically lost the rear under braking, which is strange. That's a strange place to lose the rear. Let's say that one last time, please, Fabian, if I can, on board. Just to see whether it was a downshift or whether it was a braking thing. Let's have a look. His helmet hit the wheel as it was braking. I think brake bias is too far rearwards, which is sad for Davide, but he managed to hook it all up and carries on his merry way, but in P10 instead of P9. So Van der Voort has gone back to soft, so fastest lap is going to go to him, I would imagine, if nobody else boxes. We're looking at not very much on our live stream. Something's happened. Fabian? There we go.
There we go.
Something lagged. That's not good news. Hopefully it's just our end. Yes, okay. Something lagged, but just our end. Good news for everyone. Hopefully nobody else in the server has experienced that. But the Exploring Gaia, who we have seen a lot of today, he has tipped Toby's way backwards, sadly, for him. But he is still in 7th place and can see in front of him Van der Voort and Mateusz Pishkan. Dezeo did get by Pishkan a few laps ago. This will be quite easy for Van der Voort, I'd imagine, on those soft tyres with the aid of DRS. He's already right up with him because of the exit, and I think that's wise from Pishkan to just give him the inside there and not even bother fighting that. That was only a matter of time. Lexo is not boxed yet. I can't believe he's trying to get to the end on a set of mediums. That doesn't make any sense to me. His only chance at surviving the onslaughting, is that a word? David Feider is to box, I would say, at this point, and go for it. He's going to try and hold it out, but Feider, we know, has greater straight line speed, will have the tyre advantage. He has got both an offset in tyre because he pitted 6 laps later or whatever it was, and has also got a hard tyre on as opposed to the medium, so we'll see.
I mean, it's not out of the question that he could come into the pit lane. It's Stephen Lexo comes into the pit lane.
That's what we're talking
like
about.
we were saying. I would imagine he's going to go onto the softs, but he's going to end up just ahead of Dominic Harshavin. That'll be 25 seconds to gain in 12 laps.
Harshavin will be easy pickings when he actually... in fact, he's going to come out in front of Harshavin just. So the delta is like overall lap time, and as you can see, he was 25 seconds ahead when he boxed, and has come out just under a second ahead. So nice fast pit stop there for Lexo. Overall, might have some pit upgrades that I haven't taken into account.
But I mean, everyone does at this point.
Yeah. I'm looking at last season, so I record some data and stick it in a spreadsheet overall and use that for my numbers. But of course, last season was the opening round where nobody had a pit upgrade, so they will have slightly faster times. I should have allowed for that. My bad. 24 seconds it appears to be the delta this season.
It was 28 because it was interval. It was 25 seconds plus 3 to David Foulkes. My maths is correct. No response, eh?
Does not compute. Meat boop.
Meat boop. No brain.
I don't
Move
know.
brain. No wrinkles. No fault.
My brain stopped working. Maybe had a slow pit stop on the way in and out then. Don't know.
Yeah.
Meat
I think your
boop.
brain had a slow pit stop.
I don't know. Lost the plot. Okay, cool. Well, okay. So he's got loads of time. The long and short of all of that is that he's got so much time to make up. But I don't think he's going to make up 24 seconds in 11 laps, unfortunately for him. I will keep a very strong, firm eye on his lap times. He's going to be flying on those softs for suresies. But is he going to catch right up? I don't think so.
I mean, it's not out of the question, but here's Tom van der Voort on those nice new red-rimmed boots. Those soft tyres, which are going to take him to the end of the race. 2 seconds quicker than Remco de Gio. And he's going to be looking for a nice easy pass down the straight with DRS. And honestly, I would love to see a statistic of how many overtakes have happened like that. Just this race alone. To be totally honest with you, and earlier on in the race you were speaking about another DNF where everyone that finished would score points. That means the top 15, obviously. But haven't seen that just yet.
No,
obviously,
not yet.
10
There's
laps to go.
Still time.
I would imagine a nice, easy overtake for Tom van der Voort. Not fought at all.
He is going to get a podium if he continues this pace. He is a lot faster than Harshavin in front of him, and Harshavin is an old hards, while Van der Voort is on nice, shiny new softs, which would be an absolutely stunning result for Tom van der Voort. Last season I was a little harsh on Tom. He was often struggling with throttle application and ended up in the wall a few times. It seems to be the only highlights we saw of him last season, and I mean that in the nicest possible way. He's driven superbly with the opportunities that have been presented to him today, and is definitely on target to catch Harashabin. Of course, we know catching's one thing, overtaking's another, and they do have push to pass available to them, and certainly Harashabin is not going to make this easy if he can help it. But in that middle sector alone, he is half a second quicker than Dominic in front of him, so I don't expect this to be particularly difficult for him to catch up. Last lap he was 6 tenths faster. It's going to be a lot faster than that this time round. He doesn't have to be held up behind Remco. The two Dutchmen swapping positions in the previous lap, as we saw.
Yeah, and like you said, Van der Voort, rather impressive pace. Fastest out of anyone on track right now, obviously with nice new soft tyres on. I say new, they're 6 laps old already. It's not awful in terms of tyre age, but they're certainly getting towards the midpoint of where you want to be running those soft tyres to. But that aside, it's relatively decent for Tom Van der Voort. A great race, like you said, and Steven Lexo not that much faster.
Yeah, it's not going to happen, unfortunately.
David Feidok.
Yeah, it's not the right strategy. You want to minimise the pit stops here, and Lexo, if he'd have stayed out a few more laps and bolted on hard, maybe. But Feidok overall overtook him anyway in the first stint and had better tyre wear overall, so he had to do something different. He knew he was likely to finish on the podium regardless, but I think he left it too long, and trying the softs this late is not ideal. He was better off going for another set of mediums, in my humble opinion. This is David Feidok we're watching now, who is likely to win by circa 15 plus seconds today, which he would never have dreamed of, I would have thought. He is coming through the hairpin now, and but David, he needs to ask his team boss to update his helmet to his own. I know how much David does like his own helmet. Oh, it is updated. My apologies. I was looking, and it looked still very white to me, but it is actually now his own helmet. So anyway, David is sticking to Superlights, I believe, for the rest of the season. He's got permission to do so. And honestly, with a result like today, it's not out of the realms of possibility he could fight later on in the season. He's a great driver and a good guy as well, and on target for a race victory here at Imola.
Yeah, of all the things I expected to see, David Feidok first and Steven Lexo second was not one of them, and not a sight of the Valets or the Road to Formula at the front, obviously helped quite nicely by that lap 1 incident, which I don't want to mention more. It happened, and that's outside of my, I wouldn't say my expertise, but
yeah,
it's
I think
outside of the level of discussion that we need.
Well, I would say, for those who have tuned in late, I think we should probably show it again. I don't know if that's something you can do, Fabian, but it would be nice to show that lap 1 incident again, because it's all quietened down a bit. We're waiting for Van der Voort to catch up to Harashabin anyway, and that's the only fight left overall. So if Fabian can, it would be great to see that lap 1 incident once again. Yes, I think I hear in my ear in a nice German twang. Let's see what happened on lap 1, and just remind ourselves as to why we're in the situation we are. We're watching Alex Lahou here, and unfortunately Jack Mayer jumping across the curb caused it, and then afterwards there was some pretty brainless driving as everyone came piling in. Lahou ended up on top of his teammate Son's rear wheels, and was firmly out of the race. Sandeep Singh had terrible damage, but kept all 4 wheels on his wagon and was able to get back to the pit lane, but bolt on a new set of tyres, wings, repair the suspension, and actually is now in 14th place. He's going to score a couple of championship points, so it shows that if you stick it out, you can still score points. But that's what happened on lap 1, and that's why we're missing a lot of drivers. There's been some fairly lengthy back and forths about the benefits and negatives of a red flag restart under those circumstances, but we only lost 5 drivers as a result of it to DNFs. A lot of people repaired damage, of course, but it's been a discussion about the grey areas. Van der Voort does move into the podium positions, sweeps by Dominic Harashabin, and Dreig now have a driver on the podium. Bet at the start of the race, you weren't expecting to say that, Alex.
No, and the positions they've come from are rather impressive as Meyer moves past Florian Geyer for P7. That must be at least the 20th overtake on that straight. And can you tell I dislike that straight? It's not because of how long it is, it's just because there's a DRS zone there that ruins any chance of nice racing that we would otherwise have in GPVWC.
What did you have to eat earlier, Alex?
Why?
No, answer the question.
I had a pizza.
Did you put salt on it?
That is... Who puts salt on a pizza?
Don't know, but it's...
Additional salt.
Yeah, additional salt. Because you're very, very salty about the DRS application.
I hate it. I hate DRS. It is so disappointing when you get into a battle and you just see a car open the DRS, fly right by. And there's nothing going on there. Anyway, back to the racing. Chris Harvin, not close enough to Tom to reap the benefits, but there's time yet for him to get past if he actually wants to try. I don't know if it's me, whether the
it's just
lagging
Discord
just for me,
lag. This happens
Yeah.
sometimes to us.
I love Discord. It
Well,
seems to hate us. It hates me and Toby in particular. Whenever we're on broadcast, everything likes to go wrong. Cue the clip of Jeddah.
Jeddah FS2 was fun, yeah. Definitely.
Riddled with technical issues.
Yeah. Oh. Yes, but it was funny. So just to highlight a few performances today, Beaulieu, Maxime Beaulieu in P10 for Fusion has done a superb job. Quietly, he's going to get a top 10 for that team. That's good news for him. Davide Zanini, as you can see, up 10 positions. Again, benefiting, but nevertheless going to score good for TTF, for Tyron Fritz team. But of course, for me personally, the standout is Harashabin. He started P19. He's going to end up P4. I don't think Deseo is going to be able to close in on him, and that is superb driving from Dominic Harashabin. Honestly, he's my personal driver of the day, the Ukrainian driving for Alpha Sierra Sim Racing, which is in lower leagues. It has been a front-running team. It hasn't shown that so much this season. They are currently P11 out of 12 in the championship with only 7 points to their name. Both were scored, all 7 points were scored in 2 separate incidents by Harashabin at Japan and China. And having had 2 DQs for the first 2 rounds of the season, I don't know why. I need to investigate that. Harashabin, he has done a superb job to be P4. So well done to him.
Yep, and Meyer moves up into 6th position. And that will be nice and tidy, a decent recovery for Jack Meyer. Obviously not where he wanted to be in this race. For most people, that could very much be said as to where they want to be, but for David Feidock and Stephen Lexo, couldn't have gone much better for them in terms of how this race is going. And honestly, David Feidock is absolutely buzzing out on circuit right now.
Yes, I know what he's like, and he certainly will be. Jan Jakora has taken the fastest lap. He's done a 19.9. He's in 13th place. In case anyone missed that, Sandeep Singh is probably going to get him though, because of relative tyre performance. Jakora on those softs, and this is not an overtaking spot normally seen, but Singh is going to give it a go anyway, and didn't quite make the move stick. But of course, the very difficult overtaking opportunity down the start-finish straight will be one that he will try next. And in fact, Shakur's trying to get DRS. Actually, did you see that? That was very fancy. Trying to lift off and give himself DRS, but unfortunately didn't. So that will be Sandeep Singh's wing opening, and Shakura will be now in the slipstream. Although he looks like he's on the push to pass button. Look at that. Yeah, he's going to fight back here. Down the inside goes Shakura. He just doesn't have the rubber, unfortunately, and Singh holds on.
I'd just like to highlight.
Oh
no!
Oh, Shakura's round.
Those softs that he was on, and probably will stay on until the end of the race, are 21 laps old, and he's fighting Sandeep Singh like that, and that is just unfortunate contact for Jan Sakari. He tried to look for the inside in Villeneuve, and there's just no space there. Getting pushed onto the grass, it's just...
Yeah, I want to see that again. Did Singh leave him enough room, or did Jan Shakura very dramatically spin in a sort of by himself way? Let's have a look. Terrible English, by the way, sorry about that. I'll try it. Ooh. There's no replay, I need to rewind it. Okay, well, sorry, yep, but let's have a look.
So
on board, please. Thank you. Right, so Shakura on the push to pass. Oh no, Sandeep. No. Not having that, my friend. That was poor.
Did he lose it? Did Sandeep lose it there?
No, he didn't. No, he just went to cut him off way too late. Didn't realise Shakura was alongside and bashed into him. So that is not good from Sandeep Singh. Depends if it gets reported or not, of course. But if it does, that's a fairly slam dunker.
Yeah, it won't be a very severe penalty. Obviously, it wasn't that bad, but yeah, it's still a penalty nonetheless. And you said the margin for David Frydock would be about 15 seconds. We're currently approaching that, but I think David Frydock's been pushing a bit more than he otherwise expected to be. And he's had a great stint these past couple of laps. So if you check via race view, he's been doing consistent 21s and 22s, even as the tyres aged. So it's just been great consistency by David Frydock, and this is Davide Zanini and Thomas Kutka, the other Red Ven Racing car, and I imagine has happened many times in this race. We're about to see, that was close, looking to the inside at the penultimate corner. It's not a place you see many overtakes, and there just wasn't a gap there for Davide Zanini to place his nose into, and we get to watch a nice little DRS overtake down the main straight. I say that as the gap gets closed very drastically by Thomas Kutka, and you're just not allowed to do that, to cut in front of a competitor along the straight. And this is Sandeep Singh now, who's going to have an opportunity to get back at Thomas Kutka and potentially up to P12. Or
he's got
P11 on the last lap.
He's got to make it happen. Oh well, is he a lap down? He's not on the last lap. They've got one more to go. So because they're just so far behind, but they're not. I don't know if they're a lap down. Are they?
They are a lap down, but I don't know if David Frydock is in front of them.
No, he is. Yeah, he is.
Yeah, and he is. So that is going to be a race to the end for them. And it's been a race to the end for David Frydock, who I imagine is approaching the final corner very rapidly. And with much excitement, I'm sure, for True North Racing. All he has to do is navigate that final corner, and very deservedly, weaving across the line, it's David Frydock who wins in Imola. And for True North, that's their first win as the team, as an outfit, as True North. And obviously, Sandeep Singh not able to get past Thomas Kutka to the end, takes P13. And for Stephen Lexo, for Red Ven Racing, in their first season in Superlights, gets second position. And that is a great result for Red Ven Racing. Tom van der Voort, P3, an excellent result for him as well, and a truly unexpected podium, and but genuinely an unfortunate race for everyone behind him. Kurshaven, his performance cannot be understated either, up from P19 in P4 into 4th position. Remco de Joux, P5, and Jack Mayer provisionally finishes P6, obviously pending penalty, which is obviously going to happen. Matusz Pishkan, P7, and we're just waiting for the last few people to finish their race, as Pishkan is still pushing, like the race is still on.
Yes, there's Bowley, who's going to be the last across the line, P10, and I want to give a shout out to him as well, because he for sure has maximised what he could do, considering what happened on lap 1. He drove very sensibly through the nonsense, and he was, yes, race view's broken for me now, unfortunately, but I wanted to check. But yeah, what a result for David Feiduk, the two-time Super League driver. He is Super League standard, frankly. Just unfortunately, his scheduling-wise doesn't work for him anymore. But he's got a full-time seat at True North, and he's maximised it today at Imola. Takes the victory, as you say, from Stephen Lexo. Tom van der Voort in third position. A very unusual podium, and they'll all be very happy to come and speak to us, I am sure. Harashavin for Alpha Sierra in P4. Remco Dzeo, as you say, in P5. Again, he'll be over the moon with that. Chap Mayer, definitely a provisional P6. I expect him to get some sort of penalty, and it will be a timed one that will drop him out of that position, I'm sure. Pishkan P7, Brian Gaia P8. Then it's Urban 9th position, and as we said, Maxime Beaulieu for Fusion, rounding out top 10. Our final finishers, it was down to 16th place in the end, so Perseus Miriam misses out, but Davide Zanini, Thomas Kutka, Sandeep Singh in P13. I expect him to get some sort of little penalty for contact with Shakura behind him, and Michal Galka scores the last point, with Perseus Miriam persevering and finishing in 16th place. DNFs for Ragosa, McCready, Maggio. Those three, we saw Ragosa hit the wall, McCready and Maggio were disconnects, and then lap 1 instance for Joseph Herlock, Jan Dragoon, Alex Lahou, Luke Mitchell, and Vincent Gutt. And I don't know about you, I have enjoyed myself, despite the absolute dribble that was lap 1. I don't know about you, Alex.
That is a very polite way of calling.
Oh, it's complete rubbish. But there we are.
Yeah, that was one of the races of all time. I don't know whether to say it was up there. It was interesting to watch, but yeah, I am convinced, Toby. Thanks to this race, I made a joke during warm-up that you would cause bad driving standards, but I don't know. It seems to have come to truthfulness in all reality.
Yeah. Yes. I don't know. I like watching races. I like commentating. And to be honest with you, it wasn't super terrible what happened initially on lap 1. It was the nonsense behind. Unfortunately, everyone came piling in like they were going to win the race at the first corner, and what happens is it will be a well looked at by the disciplinary committee, which I always struggle to say, and penalties will be dished out accordingly. I would like to speak to someone positive, which I know for a fact this man will be. Captain Feiduk, leader of the field at Imola. How do you feel?
Oh, Toby, hello.
Bonjour.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a bit of a weird one because obviously happy that I won, but after the start and what happened that one, it feels a bit deflated, because all the big guys were out. So I don't know. I'll tell you later. I need a beer or something.
I mean, you obviously, unfortunately had to drop out of Super League for personal scheduling reasons. It must be great to get a win nevertheless, even though it's in Superlights.
Yeah, of course it feels different. Yeah, obviously wanted to prove myself up the top, especially with you guys. But yeah, still to cross the line with your name in P1 feels good. Gives you a bit of confidence. Yeah. After the start, I don't know the guy that led for the first 10 laps. I forgot his name.
Maggio.
No, he
Sandro
disconnected,
Maggio.
didn't he? The other guy in the TFF or whatever.
Oh, the other guy. You mean Alexo in the red van?
That's Stephen. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. Judging from the first couple of races, I knew my tyre wear was better, so I pushed to catch up, but then noticed the tyre wear was quite bad. So I dropped a second behind, looked after the tyres, and then noticed he was two stopping. And even then, when he come out on fresh tyres, he wasn't. Well, obviously, he is gaining, but not by a lot. So I just got to stop choking on quali, and it might be a bit easier for more races like this, isn't it?
Yeah. I obviously it's a long season now. We're only in round 5, and of course you joined after 2.
Mhm.
You're very much good enough to put a championship challenge together. How does that work for you time wise? Like, I know you're a busy man at home and everything. Can you do that? Do you think is that something you're looking forward to?
Well, you said it, mate. You know more than anyone in here at the minute that time-wise is pretty difficult. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, I'm doing the proper testing, the odd lap during the week if I can. But I don't know. We had quite a lot of upgrades here, and Sandeep and Alex, when they get their next updates, and they got the setup as well. You know, I went half a second quicker with the updated car, and then I think I was still 4 tenths behind in quali, maybe a bit more. So I don't think I've got the setup for them guys anyway. If I can get good starts, and like in China, I was able to just jump a couple and stay in the DRS train, and then I can use the tyre wear to my advantage because that's my strength. Then, we'll see. Maybe a few more podiums, a couple of wins, but I don't think a title challenge. No.
Fair enough, mate. Fair enough. Alex, you got anything for Dave?
No, and I don't want to
Oh.
bring up the red flag conversation, to be honest.
Fine.
Bring it up. Bring it up.
I would ask, like, what would your opinion be? Would you have red flagged that start? Do you think it would be? But I'm just going to ask it to everyone at this point.
100%. Yeah, I would have red
Oh,
flagged
100%.
that. Yeah.
Okay.
I was dodging turn 1, 2, 3, dodging the inside of turn 3. And then when I exited, looked in the mirrors, and I saw even more people piling in. I was like, I didn't even push the first lap because I thought for sure it'd be a red flag. And then got to the end of lap 1, and the engineer was like, "Nah, just push." So it was good because we were third and fourth, I think, after the first lap. So it was good for us. But I'm more of the sporting person. I think anyone that knows me knows that. I'd rather have the people in the race and fight fairly, and come P5 and 6 than win like this. Even though I'm chuffed to win.
Yeah.
But yeah. I ramble on. Sorry. Next.
No, it's all good. Thanks, Dave. Thank you, Dave. Congratulations, mate. Genuinely, from a personal level as well, I'm very happy to see you on the top step at Superlights.
Thank you, man. Means a lot.
Cool. All right. Speak to you soon. I'm going to suggest I want to just speak to Alex Lahou first, and then we'll speak to Stephen Alexo. If that's all right with you, Alex. Does that sound good?
Yeah. This will be interesting.
This is what I want to find out. Mr. Lahou?
Yo!
Here is Alex. How are you doing? You okay?
Absolutely fine, mate. What a race. What a great result for the team. I'm happy to be where I am.
I mean, all joking aside, I just want to ask you, obviously, a question.
Yeah.
So, first of all, we're going to ask you 2 questions. Alex has got one for you as well. First of all, talk us through what happened on lap 1 from your perspective.
Basically, okay, I had a really great start. Maggio didn't use any push to pass to try and box me in alongside with Joseph on the right, which worked pretty well for them. Jack saw the opportunity to go around the outside, which I predicted before the race start. I'm like, okay, he's going to go around the outside for sure. So the volley are going to try and box me in. And then we negotiate the first corner, which is the left, obviously. Herlock is on my right, sticking to me. Pixel perfect wheel-to-wheel battle. Good move. And then, for some reason, what happened with Maggio pushing off Jack onto the curb, and then, well, from my perspective, Maggio went a bit wide, which pushed Jack onto the curbs. And then Jack, when he rejoined, lost the car. I hit the rear of his car with my rear, which sent me. And then out of how many cars? 28? Only one car, which was on R2F, he hit me and ended my race, and I was sent. Nah, it's unlucky. It's unlucky. I did everything right from my perspective. It was good, but I got taken out. I just got scammed out of my race.
Fair. We'll talk about his opinion on that lap one in a minute, Alex. But you've got one question for Alex, I know.
Yeah, I'm going to rephrase it to how I asked it with David. I'll
Yeah.
ask, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much was that a red flag? In your eyes?
On a scale from 1 to 10,
Yes.
42, man. Number 42.
He's
Well,
raising
how
them up.
how was that not a red flag? I don't understand. This is so inconsistent.
Well, don't know. Obviously, from your perspective, it's going to be a red flag because you were affected by it. But yeah,
Well,
cool.
From my perspective and also what I saw, 90% of the grid was affected by this incident except Maggio. So why isn't it a red flag? I don't understand. This doesn't make any sense. But then, you know, the T-Mobile Wi-Fi struck Maggio and he disconnected, so it's fine.
T-Mobile
Yes.
Wi-Fi.
Fair enough.
In the UK, we call it Little Internet, but I love it. All right, thanks, Alex. Unfortunately for you, that is a DNF, but of course, I believe you still lead the championship. So
Yeah, we'll come back stronger for Canada. We're gonna try and sweat the setup because we got caught off guard with Valley Space today. Actually,
yeah, they were quick. They were
not a good
quick.
sight. I bottled pole on the final corner as well. Unlucky, but it's what it can happen. It's racing.
Some of it is the chicane. If you watch their qualifying laps compared to yours, they take both sausage curbs, both yellow curbs. It is faster.
Yeah, it is faster. I took it as well.
Oh, well,
Maybe not as much.
nowhere near as much. If you watch your pole lap first, when you took provisional pole, if you watch that lap compared to theirs. Anyway, look, we're waffling. Thanks, Alex.
Fair
We
enough,
need
fair
to
enough.
speak to one more person. All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you guys.
Cheers, mate.
See you soon.
Bye. Right. Stephen Lexo. Let's bring him in. Mr. Lexo.
Good morning.
Guten Abend.
Morning.
How are you?
I'm quite alright actually.
Good. I mean, honestly, at one point I thought you were going to win this race today. Talk us through your overall race and how you feel it went.
Well, first off, I have to say some big thank yous to the Edge team and especially Mark Schlüter for providing us with a server to practice and providing us with a great setup. That's really helped me quite a bit, gained me like 6/10 compared to my old setup. So I was a bit disappointed with qualifying as I messed up the bunny hop chicane every single time. Still managed P6 and yeah, lap 1 was quite exciting. I tested out the grass cutting skills of the car, and I guess it's a B. I guess it's a B+. And yeah, after that, Maggio disconnected, and I was suddenly in the lead, and I was kind of wondering why there was only a 1 in the position counter and not a 2 or 3 behind it. And yeah, basically I tried everything to look after the tires, but unfortunately they died after 15 laps, and there was no way to keep Foulkes behind. So I let him by, and as soon as that happened, I knew that the win was gone. So we switched to the 2-stopper, made sure that we keep second place, and yeah, that's worked out pretty well. Thomas got some good points as well, so pretty happy with that.
Yes. Strategy-wise, I mean, do you think you could have one-stopped like David did?
No, I could feel it on lap 15. The tires suddenly just dropped by a second. And Mark Schlüter was my race engineer today. Thanks for that as well. We decided that the one-stopper would just kill us. And yeah, I basically had to do it all season. Yeah, I don't think that it would have been possible. So congrats to David. Or I don't know how to pronounce the name.
Fidek.
Yeah, fighter.
Yeah, no worries, Stephen. Alex has one question for you. He's been asking the same question.
Yep, every single interviewee has had this question. On a scale of 1 to 10, lap 1, was that a red flag?
I mean, I was the one on the grass. I was kind of one of the only ones not to hit anyone. So I have no idea. I haven't seen it so far. I mean, GPV is very rare with the red flags. I only remember one, and that was like Australia 2022, when I was the race engineer of Dylan Platt. And that one was deserved back then. But today, I have no clue, to be honest.
Understandable. And that's probably the least of anyone, I guess. The most unbiased response I've heard.
Yeah.
I mean,
Alex gave the
of
answer
course
42
it's
out of 10.
biased. It is biased for me, as I got second place due to that. So
valid.
let's
That
be
is,
fair to the
true.
others. They might have lost more than me.
Anyway, thank you, Stephen.
Thank you, Stephen. Yeah, congratulations on P2.
Thank you.
So we have obviously a lot to unpack from that. I don't want to drag this on too much, Alex, but I will ask you the honest question that obviously we were talking about it in the race. What is your overall opinion? Like, should that have been restarted or no?
Okay. According to the rules, no. According to what happened, yes. But that's a kind of worms that I'm not going to unpack right now, and we'll drag this out too long. All I'll say is just be aware in the GPVWC Discord. Expect to see a nice new GIF being plastered around everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, I'm of the opinion that, rightly so, GPVWC has a very, very, very high threshold for what a restart should be for. You know, it needs to be it needs to be high. It necessitates that because it improves the driving standards on lap 1. If people know that a restart is likely based on a few cars getting damaged, now obviously I'm not saying that, but there was a lot of cars damaged, but the line is somewhere, and it's a grey area in between, you know, obviously 5 cars getting into a lap 1 tangle and they're all clamoring for a restart, and 20 cars getting in the tangle. And obviously if 20 out of 24 cars are in the pit lane, then yeah, sure. And the time that we had it most recently in Superlights, it was every car was involved apart from the leader. Now you can argue that every car apart from the leader was kind of involved today, but they didn't have missing wings like they did at Australia a couple of seasons ago, when, and I mean this, every car was damaged apart from one. That was a red flag, absolutely, for sure. It was a wet race, it was drying track, and basically of the 24 cars that started the race, 23 needed to pit. Today we had 10 or 11 cars, I think, that had to pit.
13 had
to pit, but
well, no, there was 5 retirements and 13 cars involved.
13 cars had to pit. Oh, well, okay.
Or would have had to.
So 8 pitted, 5 retired.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, for me, I think the threshold hasn't quite been reached. It's close. Do not get me wrong. It looks worse because of all the cars smashed up and tyres bouncing everywhere, but a lot of the cars recovered to the pit lane and ended up scoring points. I mean, Jack Mayer ended up in top 6, right? And he definitely had to stop. So, as I say, I think today that is like right up to the threshold. That's right up to the limit. But I think overall it was better to continue. And at the end of the day, it's not up to us anyway. We can talk about this till we're blue in the teeth. That's not the right word.
Blue in the teeth. Yep.
Yep. We'll talk about it till we're blue in the teeth. It's not up to us. Chris Williamson is the race director. He's in charge, and he chose to not restart the race, and frankly, cool. I think it protects the idea that people can just smash each other up on lap 1 in a completely dry race. By the way, it's different again. Like at Australia, it was wet. Random track conditions. It was drying. People on random tires. Today, everyone was on slicks. Everyone was on dry tires, and just think they should have driven better. And when you don't, you end up with that. You can't just have cars bouncing into each other and there be no consequences for that. If it just gets restarted, then people are just going to do that more often. I think that's the right thing on a broader scale. As you say, for today, perhaps it could have been restarted, and we would have had a more, full grid for the rest of the race. But that's just today. If you look at the broader picture for GPVWC in general and for the whole season, I think the right decision was made. That's my opinion.
Yeah. Either way, I think that's just about all
I know. I want to go to bed.
time to talk about. 1 week time, you'll be seeing me and Toby for FS2. I don't actually know the calendar.
Canada, Montreal.
Montreal,
Yes.
obviously. Yeah, so in 2 weeks' time, it'll be me at Superlights. In 1 week time, it'll be me and Toby once again for FS2 in Montreal, the first of the races in Montreal. And I think that's all from me and Toby. So from me, goodbye. And Toby, any closing remarks?
Just to say, thanks for sticking with us, guys. It was a tricky one to commentate on, to be honest with you. For me to step in and do that. So I always like to commentate and keep you guys entertained where I can. And I hope you enjoyed it for what you could. So thank you so much, Alex. I will enjoy commentating with you next week on FS2. Thanks, mate.
Yep, you're welcome.
Thank you, Fabian Jungbluth, for your camera work and for being a nice German voice in our ear. Thank you very much. And kind of probably. And so see you all soon. Thursday is Super League here at Imola again. Tune into that. But until then, thanks for watching.
Bye.